Welcome, little one. This is your first day. Your designation will be RP-01/138. We expect great things from you. You have been born into dangerous times. A sharp mind can be the key to survival. But as often as not, it will be your inherent physical traits that win the day. And in this regard, you will be superior to your more common brethren. For you are a commando, an elite unit, something truly special. Your weapons, your armor, and most importantly, your brothers.
All right, then. Listen up.
Delta Squad, form up.
Forming up, boss.
What up, my fellow Republic Commandos? It is your boy Trey of the Bat Channel. We are live once again in a galaxy far, far away. We are going to be talking about the new premiere of Ahsoka. The first two episodes were woo fire, man. When it comes to Disney, you're always like, what's going to happen? Are they going to destroy the very thing I love? I don't know. We'll find out today. We'll talk about it. If you watched our watch party Tuesday, you would kind of get an idea of what we did. But we had a great time with you guys. We hope you had a fun time with us. Maybe we'll continue to do those watch parties. I don't know. We'll see. We'll talk about it a little bit later. But as always, I got to bring in the best co-host I could ever ask for. Super Bro Corey, how you doing, McFella?
I get to be the best damn co-host today because I showed up on time. When I was told to form up, I formed up.
Well, he did. I can't deny. Orc and Beans always shows up on time. And in all fairness, Super Bro Corey messages me right before we're technically supposed to start the show, and he's like, "I'm just now leaving work," and I was like, "Okay." Like at least you just weren't like sitting down doing nothing, like you were.
When I leave from work, I just turn, and now I've
Oh.
left from work. My workstation's right there. So
Right. That's lovely. Yeah, sometimes I work there too. I was literally, as soon as I got done with work myself, I was busy setting up our presentation for tonight's show and rewatching Ahsoka just to see if there was anything I didn't catch before. But you know, it's all good because tonight Delta Squad is coming together. We're a man short, but we still strong as ever. Corey, where are you at?
This is where the fun begins.
What's up, everybody? How we doing tonight?
Doing well, good sir. How about you?
Doing good. I saw Cody in the back chat say I get to be the best damn co-host today. So I was like, all right, let's see how you do then, big fella.
I like that. Personally, I agree with that. Batman Slot says, Orkin Beans, I officially like you better than Super Bro. Corey, at least you don't leave your Christmas lights on.
true.
Do these count as Christmas lights? No, those are YouTube lights.
What's up, Oracle Clock Tower? How we doing today? How we doing today, everybody? Man, it is a fantastic day. It was a super busy day at work. I was doing a lot of crazy stuff, running back and forth. Got steps in ×2. So it was a busy day, but a successful day. And man, am I excited to be here to talk about Ahsoka with you guys?
Yes. Ahsoka, man. We had a great time, like you said earlier on Tuesday. It was a crazy day. We did our Ripple Moon trailer reaction. That was fire. If you haven't watched that yet, you need to. You need to watch it because we had such a great time. And we asked the question: does Zack Snyder outshine Disney Star Wars? Maybe. Ahsoka's pretty good. Maybe. We'll see. But definitely check out that sometime. Make sure you guys give a like, share the video, comment if you haven't already. Tell us your thoughts about Rebel Moon. What are you most looking forward to? But today, we're talking about some Star Wars. So let's go over all the preliminary stuff, the little greediness for a second. Follow us on our social media pages on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter at @the_Bat Channel. We also have a Threads now. Like I said, I still haven't figured out what the point of Threads is or how it really benefits people because I don't see how people can really find people unless if you're already following them on Instagram. But if you're on Threads, we're there too at @the_Bat Channel. And if you're still over on Facebook at Holy Bat Channel, so give us a follow. It's a great way to get in touch with us on the back end to also tell us what's going on in your life. Another great way to help our channel. Like, share, subscribe. Help us get to that 10K because we are all part of #Battalion. We're trying to get to 10K because the moment we get to 10K, YouTube gives you a certain perk. As you guys know, our YouTube channel tends to do a lot with charity and donations. Corey and I have always been covering the super chat that YouTube takes out to go to those charities, which I think is like 40%, something like that. So Corey and I have always been covering that and adding some of our own donations. Once we hit 10K, YouTube stops doing that. So help us out. Help us be able to do more charity streams because the first 2 years we kind of went crazy to the point where it was like, we got to slow down a bit. Otherwise, we're going to run the channel into the ground.
Or we're just going to run out of money ourselves.
Or just, you have to tell my wife, our credit score is awful. And it's completely charity's fault. It's donations' fault, just good Samaritans, But if you want to help support our channel today, where the money goes right back into our show with subscriptions like StreamYard that allows us to do live shows or to improve our equipment or do animations and stuff like that. Super Chat goes a long way in helping our channel grow. Battalion, you guys know where it is at. I feel like Delta Squad. I think it's time to fully form up and talk about Ahsoka episodes 1 and 2. Without jumping in yet, can you guys give me what was your initial reaction to the first episode? Let's start with Orkin Beans.
So I mentioned it a little bit during our watch party. I'm not incredibly familiar with her. I've watched the first 2 seasons, I think, of Clone Wars. And then obviously through her bits and pieces that she's been in other Disney shows lately. I knew she was a badass and she really proved it during these first 2 episodes. it makes me excited for the series because I think we're gonna get some of those lightsaber battles that we've been hoping for. I got a little bit of a space battle, but so hopefully I get a few more of those. But I'm mostly excited about learning more about this character and obviously the other characters that are more meaningful to, say, Trey and people that have watched Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see those characters and find out more about them and who they are. But I'm interested already.
Yeah, it's definitely. I feel like for the most part, if you don't know of Clone Wars or Rebels, the animations, and you've only stuck with live action Star Wars, you probably aren't getting the same level of enjoyment out of it, but it's still done very, very well. So I think you're still having a good time with it. There's definitely some extra goodies and some nostalgia if you have watched those shows. So definitely catch up on Clone Wars and Rebels, guys, if you haven't already. I think I'll have to find it sometime. Someone created a list of like the most important episodes you got to watch to really understand Ahsoka. I'll see if I can find that for you guys sometime.
Yeah. I'm not going to do that. Cody might, but
Cody's a busy man.
Yeah, but like I was talking to a good friend at work about this, and he was like, "Yeah, man, you can watch all those, but like all the episodes that are like leading up to the drama, you're going to miss out on. So it's going to be like." You have to, there's some slow episodes of Clone Wars, and I'm sure the same with the Rebels, but like the impactful moments aren't as impactful if I'm watching the impactful moments first, man.
That's fair.
Super deep. Super deep.
I agree. Corey, what was your general thoughts of the first two episodes?
Yeah, man. I actually really enjoyed Ahsoka. I'm a little bit further ahead than Orc and Beans. I've watched, I'm through 4 seasons now of Clone Wars and still working my way through. Loving Snips. She's fantastic. And Rosario Dawson does one thing I noticed, a fantastic job capturing some of her actual, cartoon Ahsoka's mannerisms. So I've really enjoyed seeing Rosario Dawson do that as well. I'm super excited about it. I'm enjoying watching Ahsoka so far. I need to keep going on the background stories because there's definitely things that don't make as much sense, although I know a little bit of like what's going on. Or some key moments that we may come up to see. But I have a lot of questions about Ahsoka, and I hope they get answered in this season, man.
Well, I think definitely having someone with the knowledge of the animation shows, knows what's going on in the comic, and just generally how George Lucas thought about all these things. Dave Filoni, the fact that he's really the front runner and the mind behind the show, and he was the director of the first episode. And to me, it was pretty clear. There were so many references, little imagery themes that made it feel more like Star Wars than anything we've gotten before. Even Mandalorian. While Mandalorian is great, it's very much a space Western rather than this being a space fantasy, and I feel like they did a incredible job of some of those things that we'll talk about with Easter eggs through our breakdown and some different theories. And of course, we're going to score each episode. And as you guys know, with our series scoring, we tend to score a little bit lower with the idea that it's probably going to go up as we see the entire arc, go through. And we usually at the end, the finale, we talk about how our score has changed and upgraded since then. But I felt like having Dave Filoni at the helm here, it was just, if anyone had any doubts about this guy, doing live action Star Wars movies, to me, the first episode was a perfect example of what we're going to get. And I think the overall reaction to it from the Star Wars community, which is usually pretty harsh on Disney. I mean, Hell, we've torn apart Book of Boba Fett. We've torn apart Obi-Wan. The community has not liked a lot of what Disney has had to offer. Even the final season, well, not final, the last season of Mandalorian, a lot of people did not like it and thought this is the end. Disney's killing everything. So far with these first 2 episodes, I don't know. It sounds like maybe if they listen to a certain somebody, we might be okay here. My man Noel, how's it going, brother? He says, I love how the narrative modality is being done in the series, opening up the connections and possibilities within and across the Star Wars story, sequels included. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, especially with the Heir to the Empire that they're building, right? That big movie with Dave Filoni and his universe. We'll have to see how much this sets it up for sure. Are you guys ready to kind of like just break it down, get into it?
Delta Squad, form
do it.
up.
Let's do it. Okay, so we're going to go for a goal here. I'm going to try to get this whole breakdown done. Orkin Bean says I can't get it done in 2 hours. I'm going to go for it in 2 hours.
We're already 15 minutes in, Brig Fella.
We're already 15 minutes in, but I got my notes up. I got my presentation to help me with it. So here we go. Part 1, Master and Apprentice. If you have not seen these episodes, you need to back out now. Still give us the like and share and then return after you watch it. But, you know, be prepared. We're going to spoil some shit. All right, let's go right into it. I loved how the opening of this entire show was not quite, but reminiscent enough of any Star Wars film with the opening crawl. You know, to have it was in red font, but that worked for me still. It didn't matter that it wasn't perfectly yellow and it was, you know, flying back. But I loved how they did this. And it also kind of gave us a setup of where we are at in the timeline. Because we've seen Ahsoka show up in season 2 of The Mandalorian and in season 3. So the question is, where are we at with this show? Where time does it take place when it comes to Rebels? And this opening crawl kind of gives us a good idea of where we're at. So let me go ahead and read this to you guys real quick of what it says. The evil galactic empire has fallen and a new republic has risen to take its place. However, sinister agents are already at work to undermine the fragile peace. A plot is underway to find the lost Imperial Grand Admiral Thrawn and bring him out of exile. Once presumed dead, rumors are spreading of Thrawn's return, which would galvanize the Imperial remnants and start another war. We kind of saw that already being discussed in some of the final episodes of Mandalorian with Moff Gideon. You know, there's stirrings going around. And when we first saw Ahsoka in, I believe it was chapter 13, season 2, episode 5 of Mandalorian, when she finds Morgan Elsbeth, she's already asking about Thrawn, right? So we know that this is all leading up to this moment. There's a great fear going around that Thrawn, being the heir to the Empire, the Timothy Zahn books, right? That this is where it's all leading up to. The Empire is not gone yet. They are holding on hope for their long lost leader that was, you know, lost in the finale of Star Wars Rebels season 4, right? So it says here, former Jedi Knight Ahsoka Tano, which a lot of people, I don't know, I've seen some people on Twitter say, how is she a former Jedi Knight? If you've seen Clone Wars, for those that don't know, she leaves the Jedi Order. I know that's a bit of a spoiler for Super Bro and Orkin Beans. I apologize, but
It's season 5. I know about it.
Okay. There's a lot of confusion going on of why she was listed as a former Jedi Knight. Ahsoka does not consider herself a Jedi, which is why she was hesitant to train Grogu, you know, in season 2, where she's like, you should find someone else to do it. I'm not your person. So it says former Jedi Knight Ahsoka Tano captured one of Thrawn's allies and learned of a secret map, which is vital to the enemy's plan. Ahsoka now searches for the map as her prisoner. Morgan Elsbeth is transported to the New Republic for trial. So this kind of gives us an idea. If we go reference-wise, we know she's captured Morgan, which would have taken place 9 years after the Battle of Yavin, because that's about season 2 of Mandalorian. So we're anywhere between 9 to 12 years after the Battle of Yavin. That kind of gives you an idea. And the last time we saw a lot of these characters from Star Wars Rebels ends 1 year before the Battle of Yavin. So it's been roughly 10 to 12 years. since we last seen some of these characters together. So there's a lot of history going on here. There's a lot of time for them to kind of build upon maybe some of the things we didn't know of what was going on with our beloved characters from that show, Rebels. Sin Havoc says, Rebels and Clone Wars is the homework assignment to understand Ahsoka. Sin Havoc knows, yes, you need to watch it. Take some time with Disney Plus. If you haven't, it's worth it. I avoided those animated shows because I was like, I'm getting too old for like kids animated shows. And then I watched Clone Wars because my brother-in-laws forced me to, and fell in love immediately. I was like, holy hell, this is like one of the greatest shows ever. What's so funny, Super Bro?
Just you're never too old for cartoons, man.
No, you're not. And and the funny thing is, I would still watch Justice League Unlimited, but I always thought the Clone Wars was like very kiddish, and it's not. I would say it's for young adults, teens.
Mm-hmm.
What was your guys' thoughts of just them setting up already the world? There's this looming threat of Thrawn out there. Orc and Beans, I know you started reading the books. What's kind of your take on reading that opening scroll?
I said it gave you a lot of like episode 4 vibes. Just getting the scroll, and then you got the big ship coming over. This time it came below us. And I appreciated it. And again, as someone that doesn't know Clone Wars or Rebels, it was nice for them to kind of be like, hey, this is what's going on, and this is why this is happening. And I appreciated them getting to presumably the bad guys of the show so quickly. And boy, were they cool. So I'm looking forward to seeing them. They're very menacing.
About that. Yeah, that was such a great scene. Batan says the Star Wars cartoons are very similar to Batman the Animated Series and Justice League the Animated Series, kid shows that are more for adults. Yeah, that's a great point. Batan's thoughts. Super Bro Corey, your thoughts about setting up the timeline of the Ahsoka show with the Red Scroll?
Yeah, it was fantastic. I was okay with the Red Scroll personally. I liked that we kind of had that feel again of like kind of reading where we are, because if you don't know Ahsoka, you definitely need to get some information and get kind of spoon fed a little bit of what's going on in the world. It left me with a lot of questions still. Like the big one for me is obviously I know a little bit what goes down in Rebels between Ahsoka and Vader. But more importantly, with this being years after the Galactic Empire has fallen, knowing how that Star Wars ends, and that Anakin becomes a Force ghost again, has he reached out to Ahsoka? Does she know that Vader turned back from the good side, or from the back to the good side? So
I would imagine that her and Luke probably had somewhat of that conversation, because we don't know if it happened yet, if her meeting up with Luke to kind of help him start his Jedi temple. I kind of get the idea that maybe that hasn't happened yet, but
because that's does Luke even understand Ahsoka's role? It's not like Vader, like last few seconds, let me take off my mask so I can look at you in my eyes all the way. Oh, by the way, Ahsoka was my first, it didn't go down like that, so I'm curious to see, what conversations did Anakin have about snips to Luke then, it definitely had me, wondering a lot of things in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Corey, go ahead and go to the next slide, because I see people are already talking about the opening scene, as Orc and Beans mentioned as well. Oh, whoops. One of the pictures did not like being in there. I loved how they set this up, because it was classic Star Wars. You get the ship in space, another ship is coming in, and it kind of reminded me of like Phantom Menace when like Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon came out. And you see these two people, and they also had this thing going on where like it's an old Jedi code, so it checks out, something like from Return of the Jedi there. So it already had all the, formula of feeling like a Star Wars opener or, some type of scene that we've seen before. And of course, you see these two cloaked people coming down the ship, and it's just a wonderful scene because in a weird way, we've seen from the trailers that Balin, who's played by the late, great Ray, and Ray Stevens, sorry, and he's not what you think he would be. You were kind of considering that he was just going to go down there and just start slicing people apart, but he's actually very reserved. Like he's trying to give this guy an opportunity not to fight him because he knows the dude's caught on to his, he's no Jedi, and like there's no Jedi out there other than the great Luke Skywalker to this admiral of the New Republic. And he's like, no, I'm catching on what you guys are doing here. You're not Jedi. Like, I'm going to arrest you. We're going to stop this game. And it's at that moment where he's like, okay, like I gave you a shot to kind of just turn a blind eye to me. He's like, now I'm going to show you my wrath. So you could see that he's just not kill first, ask questions later. He's going to give you the opportunity. If he can spare your life, he will, which is not like a typical Sith Lord. What was your guys' thoughts to that when, of course, they're like, we're no Jedi, and his Padawan just starts going off?
So I've listened through all of the Darth Bane books, which those are fantastic. And a lot of times he talks about to his apprentice that even though we have the power to kill basically anybody, sometimes it's better to not kill them if you can think that they have some sort of use to you. And I think his thought process there was, I'm here looking for somebody. Yeah, I could probably just slice him down and then search the whole ship and then I can find her. Or this guy may be some sort of use to me. So let's see if I can give him the chance to talk himself out of this before I start slicing. So that's how I took it. Was he's like, okay, it'll be a lot quicker for me to find this woman if he just tells me where she is. So he's got some sort of use to me before I kill him.
So you took it that he's still very much a Sith, but just a collected Sith, an experienced Sith.
Yes, and he sees that people can have a use to them, so maybe I shouldn't kill them right away. He's not blood hungry or violence filled. He's tactful. He's strategizing. I think he's going to be more of a mental outthink people, not just see who can swing their lightsaber the hardest.
Okay, I like that. Super Bro Corey, what was your thoughts on that? To kind of, that's how they set up this badass character that we know is going to be a problem for Ahsoka.
Yeah, I kind of echoing what Orkin Beans had to say, because that's very much how I felt about him. How wonderful was it to see, a villain, a character comes in and he's going to be the main, one of the main protagonists. He's going to be, big player in this series, and yet he's incredibly intelligent. He's thoughtful. He's working things out. He's probably 10 steps ahead of you, if not more. And instead of this, brute force bashing, Sith Lord, we got a menacing Sith Lord again, and a very tactful one, and it's exciting. I'm very excited for what Balin's going to do. I'm actually very sad, because I don't know Ray Stevenson too well, but I'm bummed, that he
was a fantastic actor for sure, and you know what, if this. I don't know if he filmed anything after this, but if it's his last performance, he's already given us a real treat for a character that will be memorable in the Star Wars universe. And I agree. Like already they set up this character in such a great way, and his Padawan, because you can tell they are very skilled. Like these aren't like people who have just kind of, maybe learns their abilities over time. We're force sensitive. Like you can tell Balin has had experience as a Jedi, and his force abilities are incredible. His deflection abilities with his lightsaber skills are fantastic. And it was very reminiscent of something like from Rogue One, as I saw that from the butler said that, with Vader just completely annihilating people throughout the ship. But even his Padawan, there was a scene where when she comes through the door, she doesn't even check left or right. She doesn't check her corners. She has her eyes on one person, kind of the commander of the bridge, the commander of the bridge. And she's like deflecting blasters from left and right, from people she's not even focusing on. So very like these people are going to be a formidable force for Ahsoka and Sabine, because if what we know later on is Sabine hasn't really kept up with her skills. She's kind of given it up at some point. Ray Stevenson, like absolutely talented dude. Very, very sad to have lost him. But Ray Stevens, but Balin is able to find who they were looking for, Morgan Elsbeth, who is captured by Ahsoka, and he was clearly paid to help get her out of there. But it's like one of those scenes that like already they're learning, like we got to get to Ahsoka. She knows about the map to get to Thrawn. Clearly that's their goal, is to get Thrawn out of his purgatory, wherever he's at with Ezra, potentially Ezra Bridger. So they're setting up. It was a great way to set up the villain and kind of the struggle that they're going to be dealing with throughout this entire season. Do you guys have any other thoughts you wanted to bring up about that particular scene?
No, it's just awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we then go on to this planet. Corey, go ahead and go to the next slide. Arcana, which is a stronghold for the Night Sisters of Dathomir.
Did he mention this, by the way?
Oh, whoops, sorry. Yes, this is one thing I did want to get to. I knew there was something I wanted to talk about. So we know when I rewatched the episode, I totally missed it the first time, but when I rewatched it and I saw her braid, to me, that threw like everything off, because it's like, clearly she's not a Sith, because I looked it up. The Sith do not wear braids. That is not their thing. They usually have kind of very military style of hair or bald. Here she has a braid. So he's clearly teaching her the way of the Jedi in a way. So what are they? What do you think they are? Are they dark Jedi, like Koj says, gray Jedi in a sense, that they just don't hold themselves to a certain force? Their lightsabers aren't fully red. They're orange. So maybe it's kind of like a Mace Windu thing where it's purple, where he draws power from the dark side. What's your guys' thoughts on the braid?
I like we've talked about, this guy's pretty intelligent, and I would say intelligent people like to get their knowledge from all different sorts of resources, and so maybe he is taking teachings from the Sith, but also the Jedi. He's like, oh, this works well, so I'll take that. Oh, this works well, I'll take that. And so maybe it's, he has these certain beliefs and stuff, but ultimately we find out later, when she asks, what's our reward going to be, or what's the future for us? And he's like, power. He wants power. He wants to be strong. And to him, taking a little bit from this side and from this side is fine, as long as it makes you stronger.
Yeah, that's all really, really good points. Work Super Bro, what was your thoughts about the braid?
Yeah, no, I thought it was interesting. I'm leaning, since their sabers weren't red as well, like I was kind of leaning more towards like a dark Jedi, like Koj says up here. Ahsoka is a gray Jedi. These guys are kind of like, they're pushing. They're much
Sith.
more. Yeah. They're gray Sith. No, dark Jedi is the best way to explain them, because obviously they have some. It kind of makes even more sense, because Sith give into their hate. They give into their hate, and they can go completely destruction. They go is what we're used to seeing. Just complete mayhem sometimes. And yet, these guys are more menacing and thoughtful to their approach. Mm-hmm. So for me, that leads to them being more dark Jedi, or Jedi that are willing to go a little bit further than a
Or
great
it simply
Jedi.
could be just Jedi trying to survive, you know, like they
Mhm.
clearly Balon, as we'll learn later down, that he has survived through a lot of things. So this could be just his way of just continuing on and becoming mercenaries and stuff like that.
Yeah, but also think about like the time frame too for the Jedi's. You know, like the Jedi's lost. You know, they lost the war, and the Sith took over, and you saw how horrible that time frame was for the Jedi. So, and then if you saw the politicians throughout it, they didn't really care. They turned their backs on the Jedi. The Jedi weren't cared for. They were scum. They were tracked down to be killed. So yeah, of course, yeah. I could see, easily saying, you know what, screw that. I'm going to kind of go off, do my own thing, and follow through on what I think is best in this galaxy. Not light or dark. If that makes sense.
No, I hear you. Yeah, all interesting thoughts. I do hope they don't leave it as a mystery. I do hope we get some more background on these two characters, because to me they're definitely one of the most interesting pieces of it. And it could be very much what like Orc said, where it's like Balin is a highly intelligent, strategic person that's kind of like know thy enemy, know all sides of the Force. So why not embrace it all? So it's kind of an interesting take on these characters. I'm curious to see where they go to from here. But
One
in this
person asked, by the way, Trey, how old is Balin? Do we know?
I would say so. Am I spoiling anything by saying this? Okay, so he's never been brought up in the books before, but judging by his age, he was probably very close. I'm going to say a little older than Anakin, because if you think about it, after everything that has happened, the Clone Wars, it's been like 25, maybe 30 years since all of that went down. Yeah, 30 years. So he was probably right about 20s, because I'm assuming he's in his mid 50s, maybe early 60s. So probably about the same age as Anakin was, if not a little older. What's up, Winduar? Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well, brother. So we go to this next scene with Ahsoka, and I loved it because it was just a great way to set her up. But it's on this planet called Arcana, which is a night sister of Dathomir stronghold. And if you know anything about Dathomir, like those are those witches that you've seen in the Star Wars Jedi Survivor games. You've seen them in Clone Wars. It's a scary place. So when you're dealing with this, you're dealing with magic, kind of like dark force sensitive things. But Ahsoka is there searching for this map that Morgan Elsbeth told her about to help find Thrawn. And we get this like really great kind of Indiana Jones, Fifth Element kind of thing going on as she's kind of figuring out the contraption. It even kind of reminded me of some of the things you have to do in Jedi Survivor. Orc, I knew you played Jedi Survivor a little bit. Did it kind of even some of the artwork that you saw, did it kind of remind you of Jedi Survivor?
Yeah, and I made the joke that, what she did is what we've all done in some sort of video game, some sort of puzzle where you got to turn it just right to get it to the right spot. And so it was a pretty cool scene. I enjoyed the way she got in, just using her lightsabers right away to just give herself a hole. And she then uses that tactic again a little bit later. And no, I thought it was a really cool scene. It kind of gave you a way of like kind of figuring out how she's handling stuff, and it showed off how intelligent she was, and that she looks like she's been a little travel worn.
Definitely a wanderer.
It definitely kind of put you into place of like maybe what she's been up to.
Yeah, I agree. And it was great, like you said, to kind of remind you of like, it's something we've all done in the video games, like you said. But when she gets this gold orb, obviously she leaves the place and she finds herself ambushed by these 5 HK droids. And we knew we were going to get something special here. And I feel like when it comes to Disney Star Wars lately, we've always kind of been disappointed about the lightsaber battles lately. Like, I don't know what it is, from the sequel trilogy to even some of the Mandalorian episodes with the Darksaber. We haven't really gotten a lightsaber scene that was like, ooh, like we get something cool here. Nothing to the extent of like Revenge of the Sith level type stuff. You know, Revenge of the Sith is still like peak Star Wars lightsaber battles. But with this, I felt like we actually got something that was like fairly good, just because Ahsoka was strategic. She, like Orkin Beat said, she's battle worn, travel worn. She knows what she's doing. She's experienced, and to have her like kind of jump back in the hole and like just take these guys out one by one, she's not phased by anything. That's what's like awesome to see, that level of power. What was your guys' thoughts about the choreography throughout this first episode in terms of fight?
I think it also helps the fact that she dual wields lightsabers as well, because that's something that, you know, we really haven't seen that much in live action Star Wars, you know? Yeah. So I think that immediately perks our, you know, senses and curiosity and like excitement with the factor that this is different. So there's a lot of different techniques that she can do, and the way she works her body is going to be different than what we've seen before in live action. So because it's even different than the staff, you know, dual bladed lightsabers as well. So it was exciting to watch.
How are you feeling about the fighting choreography, Orc?
Honestly, it made me feel better about the lackluster ones that we have gotten like in previous that we've been upset about, because we're finally getting to see someone that is already skilled with, you know, they've been using lightsabers for a long time. Like with Mando, we watched a lot of him training to use it. And so, yeah, of course he's going to look worse because he was learning on how to use it. We have finally gotten to see someone who is skilled with a lightsaber. And so I was glad that it seemed to have done her justice in making her look like a badass, because she is a badass, because she's been trained to be a badass.
Fantastic, dude. Yeah, see, that is exactly the way to look at it, is that really this is the first time we've seen someone, not even really Luke, has had the full-on training of lightsaber dueling skills the way she has had. But I mean, when we saw Luke last in Mandalorian season 2 finale, you know, whipping, just destroying all those dark troopers, you know, he's clearly talented and he's strong with the Force. But now you're seeing like a Jedi that is even peaked level, because she was trained, as someone mentioned, by Anakin Skywalker, one of the greatest lightsaber duelists of all time. So yeah, a lot of great things. And I feel like because of Dave Filoni really understanding all levels and aspects of that, he's able to implement that in his storytelling, even if it's small details. So I did like that a lot. And the fact that she just whips up these HK droids that tried to catch her off the, you know, when she wasn't ready, and she just, not a problem, gets rid of them, and they try to self-destruct, which, first off, who knew they could blow up that way? My goodness, that was a big explosion. But she's able to get back on her T6 Jedi ship, which was piloted by Professor Huyang, which was the personal droid from Clone Wars. It's good to see that he's back. He specialized in like the construction of lightsabers through the Jedi Order, you know, helping the young Padawans build and construct them. So cool to see him back in it, voiced by David Tennant. Just, it's great that like
that was
people
David Tennant.
Yeah, it was David Tennant.
I had no idea that was him.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So kind of a cool little theme there. Really, as people have said, even though it's called the Ahsoka show, it's really cloaked to be Star Wars Rebels season 5. It's right there again. Koj says the non-trained lightsaber people kind of fight like American gladiators with two big Q-tips. Yeah.
Right.
Oh man, Koj, that's hilarious. But she gets back on the ship and they kind of have this fun conversation. He's like, well, why weren't you closer? You know, like strategically you should have been near me so I could have got out in there faster. And he's like, if you want someone to watch your back, you need a Padawan. You know, that's their protocol. That's their programming. That's not how I'm built. And you could tell, like, everyone is kind of throughout this episode jabbing at Ahsoka a little bit, because at the end of Rebels, we know that Ahsoka kind of takes on a mentorship role and a master role with Sabine Wren to start teaching her the ways of the Jedi, to kind of help find Ezra in a way, to have the strength to find him. And she does come from Mandalorian background. So she originally had the Darksaber at one point. So she is skilled a bit with a lightsaber, but for some reason she kind of abandoned, or at least as it seems like Ahsoka abandoned Sabine. So clearly she's having relationship issues. You know, she doesn't like to stick around for too long. But we get this stress call that a ship has been attacked, and that she needs to meet up with the New Republic general, who we've all seen before in Star Wars Rebels, Hera Syndulla. And that was like, it was so good, played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead, like, who is also, if you guys didn't know this, she is married to Ewan McGregor, our good old Obi-Wan Kenobi.
No way.
Yeah, no, seriously, dude.
No way. She is.
Well done, Obi.
Yep.
Hello there.
Hello there. Honestly, I wouldn't be
Obi.
surprised if, like, that's how they were kind of like able to get her like introduced into it, to be like, hey,
Wow.
so
Atta
very, very
boy.
cool. But like, just, they knew what they were doing, right? Anytime we saw these nostalgic characters finally in live action, it was just like special moment for Star Wars fans who have watched the shows. But here we kind of, you know, Hera kind of gives the lowdown to Ahsoka, saying, hey, there's these two Sith characters, these people that were trained in the Jedi ways, like, but we have no idea, we can't identify them. Do you recognize them? And Ahsoka's like, no, I've never seen these people before. But luckily for her, she does have Huyang there, who, because he helped Jedis construct lightsabers for hundreds of years, he can go back through his database and figure out, just through the designs of their lightsabers, if he recognizes anything like that. So that's going to come in handy in a little bit. But of course, as Ahsoka tells Hera, like, hey, I found this orb that's going to lead to this map that's going to help me find Thrawn, which very kind of interesting in a bit. That, have you guys noticed that Ahsoka's mindset seems to be really about finding Thrawn rather than Ezra, which I guess some of you might not really understand the importance of that.
Hey, you fooled me, Trey.
Well, yeah, sure.
Okay. It's just,
I noticed that she was really trying to find Thrawn. Yes, I noticed that.
yeah. And it seemed like
was-
everyone else kept bringing up, like, well, like, this is for Ezra.
Well,
you know, she's kind of hell-bent on a mission of stopping Thrawn.
that
maybe
might
as
be
a-
just the Jedi in her, in where, you know, she's not supposed to have these attachments, so she's trying to not have an attachment to Ezra, but in reality is trying to have an attachment to the mission in the threat. You know, I'm sure, you know, she's left that order, and she even said, you know, made a joke of when she was asked, how did you get that information from Morgan? And she's like, well, I didn't use all, you know, legal methods or whatever. You know,
she didn't use the Jedi way.
Yeah, and so, but you can't just take the Jedi out of you. And so she might just be in the mindset of this is a big important mission to find Thrawn. If he's still out there, he's a threat to everyone. So I need to focus on that and not the possibility of finding Ezra.
Which makes you wonder, you know, maybe, you know, they're playing this off because I don't really know who Ezra is, but maybe he's fallen to the dark side. You know, they're playing it off where, you know, she's so focused on, you know, boy, Grand Admiral Thrawn, that Ezra
is
the dark
new
side.
Yeah, and that's an interesting theory, Corey. I've heard some people bring that up, thinking,
oh, really?
Yeah, so I'll bring up the theory when we talk about episode 2. A lot of people think a couple of things with this. I won't say it because then I'm gonna ruin it. But you may be onto something there. Hold on to it.
Okay.
So once again, we get this moment of like where she's like, you know, I have this orb, I don't know how to open it, and Hera says to Ahsoka, like, well, you know who can help you with this, and you could tell there's reluctancy, there's hesitancy. She knows the answer. She's even thought about it, but didn't want to admit to it. And it's Sabine, which the last time we've seen these two characters in Rebels, they were very much on a good relationship with each other, and like mentor apprentice relationship. So clearly something has happened, as Koj said here. There's definitely a story to uncover to figure out why Ahsoka at some point felt the need to leave Sabine behind and to kind of stop her training in the Jedi arts. So I hope it's that answer, that story that's uncovered is like satisfying. I hope it's just not something of just like, oh, well, I have attachment issues, goodbye. To me, that would be kind of a little, it would not, because it's so on the nail for Ahsoka, that I'd feel like that wouldn't be a good reveal. But I'm curious to see what you guys think of that. What if, I know you don't know too much about Sabine and Ahsoka's relationship, but I've heard some of you say probably the fear of attachment. Do you also think maybe seeing what you have of Sabine, was there a reason that Ahsoka maybe felt Sabine was dangerous, that she shouldn't train her further? Kind of like what she said with Grogu, there was a lot of fear in Grogu that wasn't worth training him in the...
From my understanding, Sabine had a much closer connection with Ezra. And so, you know, we're dealing with someone who her master became fucking Darth Vader mostly because of his connections to people. And she may be worried, Ahsoka might be worried that, one, the connection between Sabine and Ezra might affect Sabine in a negative way, but also her connection to Sabine might be negative. And so, you know, kind of what I was talking about earlier, where she's thinking more of the mission and not the person, I think maybe she's just trying to possibly learn from the mistakes of Anakin and trying to not have these connections because they don't lead to good things. And, you know, she did the same thing with Grogu. Like, Grogu has a strong connection to Mando, and so that was an issue that they discussed, her and Luke. And so I think she's just trying to keep connections out of play and just think purely of the mission.
That's a great point. And Noel brought up something very interesting here, where he says, you have to note that aside from Ezra, Ahsoka has also seen the world between worlds, which I know you guys haven't experienced what that is yet. The world between worlds really changed everything we know about Star Wars. We never knew Star Wars was capable of this world, or what the power of this world between worlds has, until you see it happen in Rebels. And when it happens, it changes the game for everything in Star Wars of what could happen in the future or in the past. So definitely a great point, saying the war between worlds, and somehow Ahsoka is connecting this to Thrawn being the biggest threat, because the last time we saw Thrawn, there was that potential of him being able to manipulate the world between worlds. It's a great point.
This show is going to have bad reviews.
Why is that?
Because, so, like I've said before, I don't know much about her. I'm worried that, but I'm a big Star Wars guy, and so that's why I feel like I can enjoy this show, but this show's not going to bring, I don't feel like. All right, Corey, come on now. You know, I don't like, I think as Star Wars fans, we can enjoy the show and be okay not knowing all of these details. I feel like this is the most non-Star Wars friendly show so far, because I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you talk, Trey, and I'm like, this whole thing is so much more important than I realized watching because I didn't watch Clone Wars. I didn't watch Rebels.
He did warn us, big fella, to watch
He
it.
did, and I watched giant
failed
monsters
for the
beat
last
each other
Hey
up
man,
instead.
I can't get mad at you for Godzilla though, because I love
But-
Godzilla.
I hope you guys are picking up what I'm saying. It's like it's
Yeah.
so non
Yeah.
Star Wars lore friendly so far that, like, yeah, we're getting cool lightsaber battles and stuff like that, but there's so much more underneath the show so far that someone that hasn't watched Rebels or Clone Wars aren't going to pick up on. And so I think we're going to give it hella great reviews. But I think the normal Disney Plus person who's like, oh, there's this brand new show everyone's been talking about, I guess I'll watch it. They're going to be like, what the fuck is going on?
I understand what you're saying there, Orc. I think the thing that confuses me right now is that obviously I see a young Ahsoka Snips, and right now she's full of joy in the world. She's very like doing anything to help Anakin. Always willing to fight. I just got done, like I said, with season 3 not too long ago, and for the first time ever, I saw her go to the dark side per se with the one storyline of the dark brother.
Oh, the father, the daughter, and
Yeah,
I'm so glad you saw that episode, Corey.
Yeah.
Do you know who voices the dark side?
No.
Sam Wither, who
Really?
voiced Star Killer.
Yeah.
He's a huge Star
I
Wars
thought
fan.
it sounded familiar. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So that's where I'm seeing it as, like, man, like, yeah, this is not just Clone Wars heavy. Well, there's Clone Wars is important, but more importantly, Rebels is incredibly important, because I don't know, Trey, does a Rebels show a more broken Ahsoka, somebody who has
you see
dealt
someone
with-
who is, she's not exactly broken. She's definitely conflicted about what happens during Order 66, and not being there for people, because I don't want to give it away, because the final season of
would you
Clone
say like
Wars-
Survivor's regret?
Survivor's
Even though she
regret, but
wasn't,
also kind of that she comes at it through a very interesting perspective of, I don't want to give it away, because you got to experience it. You got to experience of what happens in Clone Wars to why she leaves the Jedi Order.
Yeah, I'm really curious why she leaves.
It's a very important thing that happens, that in a way you guys are going to have you're going to have we already kind of conflicted about what the Jedi Council has done. They've done some shady things,
I
especially
wish Anakin left
some of the
with her.
leaders.
They have a very similar vibe to them. You could tell Anakin is her master,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that he definitely, and honestly, that's why she is probably one of the best Jedis, because when you think about it, when she shows up, Corey, in Clone Wars, she's already kind of on the older side too for Padawans, and she's able to progress really, really quickly, partly because she was in the Clone Wars and she was kind of forced to get in it and to really hone in her abilities for survival's sake, and to complete a mission to save clones and the Republic. But she is definitely a Jedi that was challenged and took on that challenge and succeeded, where probably a lot of Jedis didn't grow as quickly as she did. So yeah, she's a very talented Jedi. But let's go ahead and let's continue on here. So we go to Lothal, which Lothal is a big planet that we are on quite a bit throughout Star Wars Rebels. There's a lot of history on that planet, but the big thing is, and Corey probably laughed at me when he saw my excitement during our watch party, but Governor Ryder Azadi, who is voiced and played by Clancy Brown. The reason why this is big is because he also voices this same character in the Star Wars Rebels show. That's his picture right there in the top right. So it's very cool to see his character back into the live action playing.
He should have got a tan.
Should well, maybe. But great to see Clancy Brown in there, who's hosting this big celebration. Everything they've achieved of getting rid of the Empire. Let's honor our heroes. To help morale of his people, his community, and of course, the one person that he's wanting to promote, and he's giving a big speech about Sabine. Sabine Wren is not there for the party to accept the celebration. And he's like, well, we got to find her. We got to get her, but in the meantime, here's a little Easter egg for people. G. Kale, who he brings up to speak while he's searching for Sabine. He's from the Imperial Academy that escaped with Ezra in Rebels. So there's little Easter eggs all around. Yeah, I know our dog is going crazy today, wanting to get pets. And she's also hasn't been feeling well, so I'm also trying to keep an eye to make sure she doesn't do anything good. Yeah, no, it hasn't been that, Corey, unfortunately. But yeah, so we find out, and we get this very Star Trek scene. I will say, while it was really, really cool, I gotta kind of look at Dave Filoni and go, my man, this was like straight out of the Star Trek movie with Chris Pine. Corey, do you recall that scene?
Oh yeah, I mentioned it during the live watch party.
Yeah, it was
Beastie Boys.
Yeah, Beastie Boys. And someone on YouTube actually switched the music for the Beastie Boys. I'll have to find it. I think that's hilarious. So okay, Doug, you're like licking my hand. It's weird. So I kind of loved just seeing Sabine in this way, because it just shows that she hasn't changed. She's still a rebel, once a rebel, always a rebel. She doesn't care for the celebration thing. She's very much a person of action, and honestly, probably in peace times, she probably is kind of unsettled. She's from Mandalorian culture. All she's known is war and fighting for survival. And now that they've gotten to this place and she's lost one of her comrades, with her and Ezra having a very strong relationship with each other, to her, you could tell she hasn't quite gotten over it, and she's very artistic, as you can tell from her hair. She draws a lot. She made that mural that you see of all the Rebels cast. So she's very talented in that aspect. But I just liked that scene to kind of, it was a great way to kind of reintroduce her back to, and getting someone who nailed the animation character. This actress did a phenomenal job of bringing Sabine Wren to live action. What was your guys' initial thoughts of her introduction?
She got a little bit of Maverick in her. She's just kind of doing her own thing. She doesn't care about the spotlight. She's just trying to get home. And then, we get kind of a kind of cool chase scene, I guess. And just, playing chicken with one of the ships. And no, I thought it was cool. It very much quickly gave you an idea of who this, I had no idea who she was. So it very quickly gave me an idea of who this person is.
And what do you kind of expect from her in the future, now that you kind of, it was a great introduction to, like you said, who she is as a person. What do you expect from her in the future?
I expect to see some reckless maneuvers pulled off by her. I'm hoping to see maybe if she's a good pilot or not. But yeah, I think it's going to be anytime something risky or dangerous needs to happen, I have a feeling she's going to throw her hat in to be the one to do it. Attaboy, Corey.
You mentioned Top Gun.
Gotcha, brother.
Oh dear God, what have I done? Yep, Trevor H, you said the word. Corey, what's your thoughts about Sabine's introduction?
Dude, she's a badass. I liked her character. I guess the scene was probably too reminiscent of that Star Trek sabotage Jim Tiberius Kirk running from the police scene as a young kid because immediately she's James C. Kirk to me now. So she has a James C. Kirk vibe to me, and she kind of seems like she's kind of acting like it too.
That's honestly, that's probably a good way to kind of, I mean, not to to compare Star Wars and Star Trek, but they are kind of similar to where they're very unorthodox. They kind of do things that aren't, really considered like the way to go about things, but it's the way they are, and it always works out for them.
Absolutely.
But Tim talks, good to see you, brother. Hope all's well, my man. I see. So what's the consensus? Overall, I've heard people that really trash the show and people that really like it. I'm surprised. I'm curious to hear who has trashed it, because I think it's a really, really, really good start for a new Star Wars show, and to be one of the best Star Wars-esque, George Lucas Star Wars, more importantly, not Disney Star Wars. It felt more like a George Lucas Star Wars, which makes sense when it comes to Dave Filoni. There's a lot of people who blindly trash anything Disney Star Wars. I think that's probably a lot of it, Bat Dan. I would say you're probably right about that. I'm going to say very nice ass shots. Not really needed, but well appreciated. Well, I feel like that could be a love of like Dave Filoni and George Lucas. Like they clearly have kind of like that Japanese anime kind of style when it comes to these scenes, and like you can tell like certain characters just kind of have that cinematography to it, to where it's very voluptuous and very appealing to the eye, for sure. But yeah,
all right.
Noel. But so Ahsoka and Sabine finally meet after so long, and you could tell there's a lot of there's a lot there between them that's not being said. Something happened between them, and there's a lot of coldness. There's a lot of tension.
Does that happen in Rebels, or are you blinded by
We're blinded by it. We don't know exactly what happened. As far as we know, I can kind of get an idea of what probably happened, because there's a lot of things that just through facial expressions and emotions of what's going on.
I feel like Sabine kind of talks about it too. After getting stabbed, she kind of, when the one droid's talking to her, she's like, he's trying to convince her to be an apprentice, and she's like, well, she gave up on me. She quit on me. She doesn't want me. Was I even part of the plan? So maybe there's some hostility towards the idea that she feels like Ahsoka abandoned her and gave up on her. And maybe she's just trying to keep that out of her life, that negativity, as all people should.
Yeah. Absolutely. But of course, it starts that whole conversation of, I need your help. Basically, there's this orb that I need you to open, and it's the possibility we could find Ezra, which we know would pique not only Sabine's interest, but her commitment to getting this done. Now, the interesting part that we start to see the relationship already, and it is very interesting because it's kind of like it's every person that Obi-Wan from Anakin to Ahsoka, and now Ahsoka to Sabine. They've all kind of dealt with these kind of hard to control students, these students who are kind of been battle tested, but also are very independent in nature rather than followers, which I felt like Obi-Wan, while in some ways was independent with Qui-Gon, because Qui-Gon was more of a Qui-Gon was more of the rebellious one when it came to the Jedi Council, and Obi-Wan would kind of follow the ways of whatever the Jedi Council wanted. It was not the same for Obi-Wan and Anakin and down the line. And here we get the same thing where you kind of can get the idea of, something happened between them, and there's this a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? There's a lot of history between them. That even when she's like, hey, I need you to work and figure out how to open this map with this orb, but I don't leave it. There's people looking for it. And what does Sabine do? It doesn't even take her a couple of minutes before she's off to her own place trying to handle it herself, basically not listening to her master. So you can kind of see this rebellious nature. And Ahsoka's kind of pissed about it, right? She's like, I literally told her not to leave, and she leaves, you know? And it's just that great conversation that we see between Ahsoka. Corey, go ahead and go to our next slide. Ahsoka and Hera, where they're kind of talking about, like, I'm sure you gave your master a difficult time. And she's really kind of thinking about how she even says, well, I left Anakin behind as well. So it's definitely the focus throughout this story. I feel like with this season is going to be, just as this episode is titled, Master and Apprentice. And we're going to see hopefully a bit of reconciliation with that, or maybe driven a further wedge apart to where it sets off a whole nother complication throughout the story. It's very, very interesting indeed. But one of the things I wanted to bring up when it comes to Sabine is that clearly you could tell she is still haunted a little bit or traumatized by what happened to Ezra. There's a lot of love and memories for her friends, but to, like, basically in a way, she knows he's out there. She's never let go of this idea that he is somewhere out there and she needs to go find him and save him. But being left behind by Ahsoka and kind of never being able to come close to find him, there's a lot of guilt that weighs on her, even in his final call to her, which was kind of pulled from the show Rebels. That is like one of the final messages. He leaves everyone before he goes missing with Thrawn. What's your guys' takes? Just kind of watching her reactions, listening to her friend Ezra, this one character that you guys are told is important but have never seen before.
Yeah, I mean, based on what you talked about and the timeline that we're probably talking about here, she's still watching the video that he left. And so, yeah, she still has a lot of fondness of him and want to find him and hope that he's okay and that he's safe. And I mean, even Ahsoka, I feel like, kind of uses that against her to try to get her to help by saying this can find Ezra. You know, she doesn't say, I know a way to find Thrawn, really. Like, it's, this can help us lead us to Ezra. And Ahsoka uses that tactfully to try to get her to join forces with her. So, hopefully it's not something that's going to cloud her judgment. But I think as maybe we get closer to possibly the end of the season, I think, you know, we've learned that she's a bit of a rebel, and, you know, she might be someone that makes that make or break decision on do they get Thrawn or do they get Ezra, if Ezra is still alive. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with her.
I agree. Super Corey, your thoughts about her facial expressions and kind of her reaction to now Ahsoka's back in her life, and first thing she does when she grabs a map is listen to Ezra's message. What do you think that meant to her, and what's kind of going through her mindset? Oh, Corey, I think you're muted.
Thanks, buddy.
Rookie.
I know, right? Clearly, there's some things that I am missing from their relationships in Rebels. So clearly, they're all very close to each other. The disappearing appearance or leaving of Ezra is weighing heavily on Sabine, and maybe not as much Ahsoka, since she left as well. So I think there's, some elements to that, some themes that I'd like to dive deeper in on. But yeah, it was, it keeps, kind of pushing me back to kind of what I said earlier, Trey. Like, the focus is like pointing, she's so focused on Thrawn right now. What is she missing? What's going to be the surprise?
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a good point. Like, kind of look over here without seeing what's about to be revealed behind the curtain. I do like
over
that.
Here, like, hey, why didn't you find him?
Yeah, interesting. It's a good point, Super Bro. And then, of course, while this is all going on, we know that Morgan Elsbeth, who has been rescued by Balin and I'm totally spacing her name.
Do we know her name?
Yeah, it's Sorry, there's a literally Shin Haiti. I knew it was Haiti, but I couldn't remember her first name. Shin. Basically, we learn, and this was crazy to me, the fact that Morgan is a night sister of Dathomir. Like, I was like, oh my goodness. So she has magical witch powers and is definitely now a formidable foe. And it now makes sense why she was able to put up such a great fight against Ahsoka in chapter 13 with that Beskar staff. You know, she's no joke.
You know, that kind of, by you saying that she's a ninth sister, correct me if I'm wrong, Trey. Those are not ninth sister. Keep going, Trey. The Dathomir ladies.
You were thinking, the witches.
The witches of Dathomir. They, I thought, from what I've seen so far in Clone Wars, it seems like while they, do some things on the Sithy side, they say that they're more neutral in that side of things. They just want to be left alone.
Yeah, that is accurate. They are a little more neutral. They definitely their magic seems to be a little bit on the unnatural side of the Force. That would appear to be Sith. But they don't like Jedi. They don't like Sith. They have worked with certain sides of the group. They work whatever best in their interests. And so they are
that might make more sense to why Baylan and Shin are working with her.
Yeah. So of course she tells them they are on the planet of Arcana, the stronghold that Ahsoka got the orb from, because she was hoping to get it before Ahsoka. But now that she knows clearly Ahsoka has it, she's seen the damage from the droids, HK droids that blew up, self-destruct. So she's like, well, we need to get it back. She knows what this map is for. We need to get it before she does. And Baylan says, well, like, I'm going to send Shin to go get it. Like, she'll have her Padawan probably with her on this planet with Sabine Wren. Go get her, and we'll use that to draw Ahsoka out to get the orb. Well, they kind of kill two birds with one stone in a bit. Corey, go ahead and go to the next slide. As we learn from Huying, the old Jedi Order droid, he is able to identify one of the lightsabers as Baylan's skull, knows that he was trained of the Jedi arts. So Ahsoka is able to get a bit of an idea that this guy is no joke. He's been missing since Order 66. So we have no idea where he's been since then. But now that kind of gives you a bit of background of Baylan would know probably Anakin. He would know of Mace Windu and probably knows of Ahsoka very well and knows the story of her, just of the rumors around the Jedi Council and her leaving the Jedi Order. But like, it's just one of those things where now she knows a bit what she's dealing with. This person's no joke. This is not just a simple mercenary. This is a guy with Force sensitive abilities who is trained in the Jedi arts and is very, very powerful, especially probably all the years that have gone by to perfect his abilities. So we get this whole thing with Sabine figuring out how to unlock the map and sees the potential of where she could find Ezra and Thrawn. Who knows what that'll lead. But of course, all in this meantime, I did love this one particular scene that was like straight out of Phantom Menace with the probe droid. It looked almost exactly like the Darth Maul scene. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
I was like, and once again, just like one of those scenes that Dave Filoni could just do that as Star Wars fans, we can look at and go like, oh, this feels like Star Wars. Mm-hmm. And it was just a great kind of mirroring scene there, paying a little homage. But we get, as we know, Sabine is ambushed by BK droids and eventually Shin. And it's a throwdown, right? But I get the sense that Sabine has been out of the game a little bit in terms of lightsaber battles. Do you think Shin was toying with her, messing with her?
I felt like she was doing a kind of a style of, this is her first time. This probably might be one of her first lightsaber duels that's not against her master. And so she might have been trying to like kind of figure out, Sabine's, style, but also it kind of looked like she was doing a feeler, but also wear her down kind of, because Sabine was kind of very hard swinging, and
Power
a lot of
swings,
times it looked like she was more defensive in trying to get Sabine to get more tired, because
just
she
more
did
strategic in her.
yeah,
in her fighting.
she was more strategic, which would make sense because of who her master is. And so it seemed like she was just trying to wear her out with her own attacks rather than, trying to overpower her.
Mhm.
And then it would be these quick bursts of attack to also wear her down in that way too. And so it was this kind of, I felt like she was playing chess more than she was really dueling.
Mm.
And I felt like from the very beginning we could see that Shin was the better duelist, and I think she figured that out too. But she still wanted to play it safe.
That's a great point. And I loved what Noelle said here. That kind of sums up what Orc was saying, that she was being measured. She was figuring out what Sabine was capable of, and maybe not so much toying with her, but definitely being strategic in everything she does, which would make sense for who her master is. Super Bro, what was your thoughts?
Yeah, it's very interesting watching these two Dark Jedi or whatever they are fight. Yes, Sabine was the better one here, but being measured, but figuring her out too in some ways. It was just very interesting. Like it seems like they're taking everything in. They're just like downloading everything that is going on around them. It still gives off that menacing vibe of them. So it's been fun to watch.
Yeah. And definitely, once again, it just kind of goes to show that she's not so much a Sith, because she's not really attacking out of emotion or power. She's really calculated in everything she's doing. Yes, very forceful and goes for the strike, and clearly went through the killing move of a Sith, but which we've now learned that how Qui-Gon died still escapes us.
Qui-Gon's was more center stomach.
Sure. Yes, that is true.
Hers was a little higher.
But it is a bit maddening to see everyone get impaled here, and still somehow Qui-Gon got messed up. But as you saw my face, it caught me off guard. I can't remember who said it. Someone said, what if they killed Sabine here? And I was like, no, they're not gonna. It was you, freaking Sith Super Bro Corey. And I was like, no, they're not gonna do that. As soon as
but it was almost comical how quickly it was.
Yeah, and then I immediately said, "Oh, she'll survive that."
Yeah. But it was a great way to end the show, because obviously Ahsoka's on her way, because she's alerted that Sabine is in trouble, and she kind of gets there at the end, the aftermath of it all. But Shin is able to escape with the orb, and it's unlocked. So Sabine kind of did all the hard work for them, as she's taking it back to her master and Morgan. So that's where the first episode ends. To me, look
at the big brains on Batan.
What's that? The trailer shows Sabine cut her hair, so I knew she wasn't dead. Yes, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, I was just more surprised that they were even gonna that they were even doing it. I was like, oh my god, Sabine. Figure they might make her mechanical or something. Example is the Phantom Menace first fight scene with Qui-Gon and Maul and Tatooine. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's definitely kind of the first meet, right? The first meet cue. In terms of getting to know those two characters, and probably there's going to be, I think someone said, a round 2 for them for a fight scene. But guys, first episode, that's, if it were to have us wait a week until episode 2, what's your initial thoughts of the first episode? Did it do it for you? Would you say, I would go see episode 2?
Yeah. I mean, obviously it was nice for us to be able to just hit Q next, even though poor Savage had a few difficulties doing that, I guess. No, I definitely would have clicked, next episode, tuned in. I'm going to definitely tune in for week 3, but No, it was good, and I've said it a couple of times now. Like, I didn't know a lot about her, and I was definitely willing to learn more. And yeah, as someone that didn't watch the trailer, Bat Dan, I didn't know if she was going to live or not, except for everyone lives through that blow. So, no, it was a very good episode. I think it was a strong episode. And as we'll see here with the next episode, they didn't go the Andor route where it was like fast paced, slow, fast paced. So I'm excited about the pacing of this show so far.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that, comparing it to like Andor, which did have kind of that formula: fast, slow, fast, slow. Yeah, they definitely did do that. But this show kind of kicked us off with 2 quicker episodes for sure. Super Bro.
Bro, if they had like a fast, slow, fast episode with how short the season is, people would riot.
I'd riot.
Yeah, me too. I think we're dealing with, a Jedi who, or a person who has Jedi training that is going to hop all over the place. The opening scene alone would have been enough reason for me to click on, continue to watch it on episode 2. But it's given me very Jedi Fallen Order vibes of gameplay and just visuals as far as the show goes. We're hopping to different planets. We're hopping all over the place. There's battles here, battle there, investigation here. There's just a lot of stuff going on, which really reminds me of that gameplay style. So I've been enjoying it.
Nice. If you guys had to score the first episode.
9.2.
9.2. I like it. Super Bro.
Yeah, I think I'm probably...
And your batteries.
Yeah. I think I'm probably 9... Yeah, I'm probably like a 9... I'm going to say 9.5. I thought it was an amazing opening, episode. It brought it back, all those vibes and feels of the good old days Star Wars. I'd probably even rate it higher if I understood it a little bit, better. I'm
100%.
seeing some clear things. So that's why, I was about to say same with you, Cody, but knowing that I've missed some stuff, I think there's, some, I think Trey's probably going to rate this pretty high, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm literally going a 9.5 as well, Corey. It's, to me, like, this was a great, it probably will be higher. I'm rating it kind of in that middle 9. I think it's a masterpiece in terms of Star Wars episodes that we've gotten from Disney. This was the most Star Wars thing we've ever gotten, I feel like. So that's why I'm kind of I want to say 9.5 for now, but I think by the end of the season, I'll probably be 9.7, 9.8. Dave Filoni freaking nailed it. The music was awesome. The action was awesome. The tone felt like Star Wars. The cinema sound like Star Wars. It was just everything, nailed it. And it helps when you have someone that knows Star Wars. Absolutely. So what's everyone else saying, Corey?
Yeah, Trey. So kind of looking at that, the Batman Who Laughs gives it a 9.5. Joker's Wild at 9.3. Carrie Kelly gave it a 9. The Batman gave it a 9.5. 9 Lives in Hell Here gave it a 9.6. Batman Stops gave it a 9.67. 182471029301993.
Thank you, Batman.
Oracle's Clock Tower gave it a 9.7. KJ gave it a 9.5. Beyond the Night gave it a 9.6. The Butler gave it a 9.4. Trevor H gave it a 9.5. Hashtag Restore the Snyderverse Sky gave it a 9.7. And Bat Fanatic gave it a 9.6.
So everyone is above a 9. No one's giving it below an 8. And I think that's fair. Anything above an 8, I think is a good start for this scene. So great job with Dave Filoni. Just phenomenal job.
I gave it a
every confidence.
9.6, and so did Nightwing as well. So
Nightwing, what's up? Great points.
Filoni,
yeah, can't wait to see what Dave Filoni does when he gets his own movie. Clearly he can do live action now. There's no question about it for me when it comes to that. All right, are you guys ready for episode 2, which was a bit of a shorter episode for sure, called Toil and Trouble. Here we go. Let's just go right into it. I had to do it, guys. I apologize, but I had to put up a picture of, go to the next slide, Corey. I had to put up a picture of Qui-Gon Jinn because I feel like that face says it all.
You had to.
I had to. I had to put up a picture just because.
Liar!
I don't know if you guys have seen that dude who does the deep fake videos of like he's sitting on the couch and he's like reacting to all the all the like Star Wars episodes. And he's done this like reoccurring joke with Qui-Gon when anytime he sees someone impaled that he's like, oh, he's definitely dead. And then the guy comes back and he's like, what the hell? You know, I could not stop laughing when I saw Sabine was okay in the next episode. I was like, damn, Qui-Gon, it really does suck, buddy.
He gave the will, he stopped having the will to live, Trey.
He didn't. He lost the will to live. Qui-Gon, I wish it's because he knew Anakin was just going to be a punk. He's just like, I don't want to deal with that. Obi-Wan can have him now.
Run.
But yeah, so we get Sabine is okay, but she has no recollection of what the map, where it told them to go. So really, Ahsoka doesn't have any option of like, what's the next step here? Where we go find these people? She's obviously disappointed in Sabine because Sabine did the one thing she told, Ahsoka told her not to do, which was leave with the orb because people are after it. And what happens? The worst of her fears. The people got the orb and now we're in trouble, right? They have a way to find Thrawn because it's a race against time, really. Like who's going to find Thrawn first? Because once Thrawn gets out of wherever he's at, he's going to wreak hell and chaos all over the galaxy. And the New Republic is going to be in some deep, deep puto. So, just one of those things. But Ahsoka does ask Sabine, she says, hey, was there droids there? So she goes looking at her house and finds her little loft cat and sets up, the droid, the HK droid thing. He's setting up an ambush on Ahsoka. Ahsoka's too good for that. She just wipes that thing right out and is able to bring the droid back to Sabine. So that way they're able to kind of see where the scene was programmed and more importantly, where the origins of it, which leads them to the Corella planet that Morgan had facilities at. It is supposed to be now a New Republic facility, but it's, we know how I've seen things like Mandalorian season 3 with how the Empire has still kind of infiltrated different areas of the New Republic. They're still around. They're still looming. So Hera tells them I'll meet you there. Let's go investigate this place and see what's going on there. All while that is going on, we know that Baylan and Shin and Morgan, they have the orb. They found the place where they have to hook it up to get to the map that will lead them to Thrawn, but they know that Ahsoka's after them. Ahsoka's going to cause some more problems, so they're going to send Shin to go cause some problems, which is awesome. Guys, what's your thoughts about seeing kind of the contraption of Corey? Was that glass?
No, that was me.
Oh, I heard glass break and I was like, oh shoot.
No, Rachel's home. She dropped something.
Hi, how's it going, Rachel? Do you guys have any comments about that opening sequence with setting up episode 2, Morgan and Baylan getting closer to finding Thrawn and obviously Sabine's disappointment? Ahsoka's disappointment in Sabine.
Based off of episode 1, I was like, wow, maybe it'll be a couple episodes before we get to this point. And they're like, no, we're going to do it in the second episode. But visually I thought it was cool when they, the galaxy expands around them and they're talking about it and stuff. I thought that was visually cool. But it really is putting the emphasis on the bad guys know where they're going. and Ahsoka really doesn't have a clue where to go do next. So it'll be interesting to see how Ahsoka tries to catch back up, because right now she is. It already feels like they're making that bend around the fourth corner, and all they got left is that last 100 meters, and Ahsoka's still starting the race, basically. So it'll be interesting to see how she catches up.
Yeah, I agree. Super Bro, your thoughts?
Repeat the question for me.
Basically, just what's your thoughts about what Morgan and Balon and Shin have kind of set up with basically their location device with the orb, trying to find Thrawn? Like, any thoughts on that?
No, not much other than what has already been said. I'm just looking forward to them finding Thrawn. So, yeah, no, it's going to be a good one.
I agree. Corey, go ahead and go to the next slide, my man. Okay. So this, I know I kind of skipped ahead a little bit, but I kind of wanted to keep on Sabine for a little longer. Obviously, Sabine knows she kind of messed up, that the bad guys got away. She did exactly what Ahsoka told her not to do. She did it, and Ahsoka's fears came to realization. But you see that there's still a lot of hesitancy and kind of reluctance to work together because of some bad feelings towards what happened in their past. And I love that Huyang is kind of able to tell her, being a droid of the Jedi Council and the Jedi Order, he's able to kind of guide her to be, just as she is a Padawan, to be like, the past does not matter. It's how you move forward. You know, you constructed this lightsaber from Ezra, like, and it now belongs to you, you know, basically saying like the crystals now considers you the owner of this lightsaber, and kind of tells her like, you need to get back to being the person of who you are and get back on this mission of realization, because Ezra is going to need you. Ahsoka needs you. You know, what was your guys' thoughts about the conversation that Huyang and Sabine had?
Well, I mentioned a little bit ago about, when you were talking about kind of like what might have happened between the two of them, and she kind of focuses on it during this conversation of like, she feels like she was left behind and by Ahsoka, but I feel like this whole time has been built towards other people telling Ahsoka, and now someone telling Sabine, that they need to get back together. Yeah. And so, because we had the Obi-Wan's wife, she was doing the same thing, mm-hmm. and her and Ahsoka had that whole conversation of, she's not ready. And she's like, well, how do you know? And she's like, you just know. And so do they. And, by the end of it, and after she cuts her hair and, they talk again, she goes, I'm ready, And so I think now the next episode is when we might find out her answer of what really happened between them that made them drift so far apart.
Yeah.
Because they're going to need to deal with that for them to come back together. And if she really is ready and they really are going to get back together and train, and she's going to be Ahsoka's Padawan, you got to deal with the issue first before you can get back together. So I'm hoping that next episode, we get to see that. And boy, do I love a good training montage. So I hope we get one of those.
Like kind of what they did with the Obi-Wan show of Anakin, and when they did a bit of a flashback.
Training montages.
I think you're absolutely right, Orc. I think this next episode is probably going to be a little on the slower side. It's going to be a little bit more dialogue. It's going to be confronting some of these issues that happened before that set them apart, that I don't know if they'll get back together right away in episode 3. I think they're going to hold on to this one, maybe another episode or two. But definitely they're going to have to confront their fears, the abandonment, the conflicts that drove them apart, so that they can be unified in their mission. Because clearly Baylan and Shin are unified, and Shin trusts Baylan to the end, and he trusts her to get the job done. He's basically, I'm staying behind. You go off and do the mission. He just has that much trust in her to get the job done, which just shows how good of a team they are currently. Super Bro, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I got excited when I saw the Mandalorian helmet. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Let's get back into it. And exactly like Corkin Bean said, good training montage coming up our way. So I think she got stabbed, and she was kind of, just
She was able to sit there with her thoughts as she was healing and kind of realize a little bit of the error of her ways, but also to kind of gather what needs to happen here. If she really wants Ezra back, she knows she can't do it without Ahsoka.
Absolutely, and I think it. Maybe over the last few months, years, they got a little lazy, and that's why she was kind of. Like, oh, I don't need to go to this, celebration. I don't really care about it. It's no big deal. And she kind of got,
Well, to her, she lost the war, right? Like, even though they won the war against the Empire, she didn't have her family. Is one thing that I think can be said about Rebels and Star Wars Rebels and this show. The last time we see that montage of all those characters that we see at the end of this episode, we see them all together, other than Ezra, right? He goes missing, but the family, their family they've built over the 4 seasons in Star Wars Rebels, they're strong, they're unified. And what you're seeing in this season of Ahsoka so far is that while they still care for each other, they've kind of all gone their different paths. Hera became a general. Ahsoka went off and did her own thing. Sabine has kind of just been left with her thoughts and like kind of feeling the guilt of not being able to find Ezra and not knowing what to do next, having no purpose. And Zed, as we know, Zed is off doing his own thing with the rebellion. Now the New Republic Army, but we haven't seen him show up so far in this, so there's definitely, it's not as unified and tight as a group as they are kind of throughout the show of Star Wars Rebels. So that's going to be an interesting to get back into once they do it. Corey, did you have any more thoughts?
Yeah, and I was thinking, but even to further to add to that, the fact that she had a pretty impressive fight, she got stabbed. So she lost that battle. It also brought the fight back in her again. So she's putting the war helmet back on. She's ready to rock and roll. And, she's not sitting by the wayside anymore. She's been, she's found her focus again. So
yeah, absolutely. Now has her purpose and mission. Corey, go ahead and go to the next slide, please. All right. So we get back on this Corellia planet, which is, an interesting thing. First off, it was wonderful to see one of our favorites, I should say, because R2-D2 is still the freaking man. But one of our favorite droids, and I feel so bad, guys, that you have not gotten to see this character before until this moment. But hopefully you got from the first moment you saw him that Chopper is the freaking man, or the freaking droid, however you want to look at it. Chopper is a sassy droid that has definitely been a valuable member to the Ghost Crew team. And he's just wonderful. Any thoughts as someone who knows of Chopper throughout Rebels, what was your guys' initial thoughts? I hope you had a similar reaction that I did. Are you digging my fellow droid character?
I mean, these Disney shows, they always do the droids well. There's always at least one droid that you love. And I enjoyed my first experience of Chopper. It was kind of fun. You could see the sass in him. Everyone needs a little bit of sass. And so, but he still got the job done. She said, don't you miss this tracking device? And he landed it. So it's good to see that he's a lovable, sassy droid, but he still gets the job done.
I agree. You're saying all the right things, my man. Super real Corey. What's your thoughts on one of my favorite
Corey's
droids,
here
Chopper?
to crap on him.
No, I actually first droid in a while that I actually enjoyed, and I didn't realize Chopper he's in Rebels. You said,
Yeah, big character in Rebels. I mean, the Ghost Crew is very much.
It makes sense that he's in Rebels because he's kind of a youth droid, in my opinion. And what I mean by that is you just by the way he beeps and boobops and makes the sounds, you kind of understand what he's saying or thinking, So of course, they made that in the television series, so kids were like, "Oh yeah, I know what he's saying." And seeing it now live, I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool. I know what he's saying."
Yeah.
So it was immediately like I was like, "Oh, cool," because R2D2,
Yeah.
Ooh. You kind of know what he's saying, but like you didn't know exact words. Where this guy, you kind of knew what words he was saying, which made it kind of fun and enjoyable. So one of the first times I've really enjoyed a drone.
Yeah. So one of the things I loved, we get obviously Ahsoka and Hera are teamed up again, but we get this wonderful moment. The New Republic, obviously, right? As we kind of saw in Mandalorian season 3, I really do like these episodes where we kind of get into the politics of what has happened post Empire.
Absolutely.
With how do we get back to this crazy world of the First Order, because that was one of the things I didn't like. They didn't explain. They needed to show us how it was possible that we could allow this to happen. And you could see that it's such a big galaxy. It is very tough to kind of keep everyone under wraps, but you're able to see that not everyone thought the Empire was that bad. It was just the new management, right? The management of the galaxy. That's all it was. And with this episode, I loved how the business owner of this facility that you could tell he's kind of a jerk. Min Weaver is his name, and he's kind of playing the cards like, "Oh, I just don't have time to show you around and give you a tour so you can investigate what I'm doing." And I love that Hera is able to kind of be like, "I'm the freaking general of the New Republic. Like, you don't get a say. I can make this easy for you, or we could do it the hard way." And it was just great to see kind of the sass, her pulling rank, and Hera having that level of confidence to be like, "Yeah, we're not playing this game. We're doing this." And I love just the simple scene, even though it's kind of, there's not much going on, but it just kind of gives you the idea of what's going on in the galaxy at that time when they're driving through the facility and you're seeing the eyes on them. You can feel the tension that they might not be in the safest place right now. And when they're kind of asking questions to kind of get an idea, Weaver gives them a really good answer. He's just like, these are people just trying to earn a living. They don't care who's in charge. We leave the politics up to you guys. Retro, what's up, Retro Nergo? It's always good to see you. Hope you're doing well.
Need to get you back on for one of these.
Yes, we do. Retro, it will definitely happen. But we get this wonderful scene where he's just saying, I'm a businessman. My loyalty is whoever is the highest bidder, which means it could be anyone. It could be the Empire. It could be someone worse than the Empire, the Hutts, or anything like that. He is very much a businessman. But as we learn, once they get into the control room and we're figuring out all the logs and where this HK droid came from, and another droids have seen it, this guy is very much still with the Empire and is looking not to hurt, is looking to hurt the New Republic. And once that's revealed, kind of all hell and chaos breaks loose as they try to capture this other droid that may be able to lead them to Morgan. And I loved this scene. It's action, but not only that, we get this Inquisitor called Merrick, which there's a lot of theories, Corey. We were talking about theories earlier, and you had brought up Ezra. Some people believe that this Inquisitor could be Ezra.
Oh, really?
I find it hard to believe that. I don't know if I believe that.
Oh my God. That's definitely Ezra, dude.
Why?
That 100% that is Ezra.
Explain.
What Batdan said earlier. Batdan said that Ezra was tempted by Darth Maul. to join the dark side. So he's had some temptations, clearly, from what Batman said in this. Look at his lightsaber, bro.
Well, I mean, that's how all Inquisitor lightsabers are.
Yeah, good point. They all have the double-sided.
Not that I'm trying to like say you're completely wrong, but a lot of people, I've heard two theories about this character of Merrick. One, that he's Ezra, which I don't believe
he's
because
also not showing his face though, bro. Don't
some Inquisitors hide with a mask. Some Inquisitors have a mask if you've played some of the Jedi Survivor games, yeah. But like, I don't know. To me, I don't think it's Ezra because how did Ezra get out then? You know, that would mean Thrawn is already out too, and that everyone's wasting their time trying to get Thrawn out. So that's why I'm not convinced it's Ezra. But I've heard another theory that some people say because Dave Filoni has brought up this name a bit and has been on record to say in an interview that he tried to figure out a way to get this character into the show. And that was Starkiller from the Star Wars Force Unleashed games. Or it would be a version of him. It wouldn't be the full out Starkiller from the video games. It would be a version because, as Dave Filoni said, the Starkiller from the video games would be the most powerful being in all of Star Wars, and that just wouldn't be fair for anyone. So he's like, but I would love to find a iteration of the character that we could bring into it. And the reason why people think Merrick could be Starkiller's version is that apparently a voice actor was listed in the cast for this episode, and Sam Witwer was one of them who voiced Starkiller. What's your guys' thoughts? Cody, have you played Star Wars Force Unleashed?
Yeah, boy.
Would you like to see Starkiller somehow brought into live action and put canon?
Sure.
Okay.
No, I think it would be cool. I mean, he's got I feel like one of the most memorable, but also incredibly difficult missions where you have to bring down the fucking ship or whatever.
Oh, that ship mission was so
hard.
Yeah, that one was difficult.
No, I'm listen, I'm always for bringing these out of left field type characters, I don't know a lot about Ezra, but I feel like based off of what we're talking about now, it doesn't make a ton of sense for Ezra to be this character. But yeah, no, that would be awesome. I'd be super into it. And I'm always in for, a cheap pop, of getting everyone excited about something. So if it does end up to, being a character like him, just getting everyone to be like, holy crap, they actually put him in a live action thing. So, yeah, I'm all for it.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if it's him, but I'd be for it.
But you would be down to see Starkiller at some point.
Sure.
Okay. Super Bro, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd be happy if it was Starkiller. Absolutely. I just saw that somebody said, how could it be Ezra? Ezra's stuck with Thrawn. Didn't know that. So, interest that does bring up some questions, and kind of thinking about more too. Would Ezra expose himself immediately or to Ahsoka? Who knows? So, yeah, man. If it was Starkiller, that would be interesting. I guess the Inquisitors kind of make sense, doesn't it, for him to join an Inquisitor, right? Being kind of Vader's apprentice type thing as well. So
I feel like Merrick is a throwaway character personally. Not like throwaway, like he's an Inquisitor that's badass, but like to me, it doesn't make sense. Like especially for this introduction, to not make it like seem like there's something more. And I don't mean more as in like there's a background with this thing, but to make it even more of a foe that Ahsoka couldn't like quite keep up with. She was, I mean, as you could see, she had swag throughout this fight with this, and I know Ezra would not win a fight against Ahsoka, but like for such a big character that would get everyone excited, I feel like they wouldn't quite introduce this version of him like this. I figured it would be like a more grand entrance of who is this formidable foe that is, going toe to toe with Ahsoka.
Well, wait a second. You said Ezra wouldn't win against Ahsoka?
Unless if he really went OP'd over the last few years.
And he didn't really win against Ahsoka.
No, he didn't.
He ran.
But he did run, but I also just feel like Ahsoka, I don't know.
In some ways, are they disrespecting Star? I know you said that Star Killer isn't going to be as powerful, but are they kind of disrespecting Star Killer for not, whipping Ahsoka's ass,
Yeah, maybe. But we get a great fight scene, another great fight scene. Once again, I love that when Ahsoka's chasing down Merrick as he's trying to get away, and he does this move where he throws his lightsaber, and he's hoping that maybe she didn't pay attention. But the fact that she was just like eye contact, dodge, like really, bro, like that is so old school. Just made it more like she's a badass. I love her. I love that Hera was chasing the other droid ship and throws the tracker on it with Chopper. We get that great scene because Hera, as we know, is a wonderful pilot of the ghost ship. It was so Star Wars Rebels that it made me so happy to watch it.
Is there any possibilities to this?
I wanted to. Well, apparently, I don't know if it was real, but someone said there was a set photo with Ahsoka and Darth Maul. I personally would be pissed off if it was Darth Maul. My only reason for that is like the dude is dead. If you've seen Rebels, there's no question about it. The dude is dead.
You sure Obi-Wan didn't, stab him?
Obi-Wan took care of it this round.
You sure? Because we know you can come back from a stab wound.
Anyways, so we get that great scene, great fight scene. We get Chopper kicking ass. We get Hera kicking ass. Ahsoka kicking ass. But now, once again, we're 2 steps back, right? We haven't quite caught up with Morgan and Baylan, but we do have the tracker that's going to lead them back to Morgan. So Hera's going to be able to find them once Chopper gets as well. Corey, can you go to the next slide? So we get this awesome scene where Morgan's getting everything ready to, it looks like she's setting up a portal to, basically cut through space to get to Thrawn quicker. I'm not sure exactly.
I thought it was one of the,
Did I miss? I might have missed.
No, it's somebody, I think it's Obi-Wan uses one, but they're for smaller, ships, and then it lets help them do hyper speed or whatever, light speed or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is a big one for bigger
like
ship.
A star ship. Okay,
yeah.
You might be for
that's
a Star Destroyer.
when I saw it right away. I was like,
thought too.
oh, that's probably just the booster thing or whatever it's called.
That's what I thought too.
But just a big version of it.
Which that would make sense if they are trying to get to the world outside the world, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
What are you guys calling? Maybe you need that to
War
get to
between worlds. Yeah, it's possible. Maybe it sets up kind of the same contraption of what the Blue are able to travel through time. The Purgil. I don't know. It's an interesting thought.
Didn't they take isn't the thing that they took it a giant engine or something?
Yeah, they took.
So she said that was the last one to be installed. So I'm assuming if you need multiple engines, it's probably just to help them.
Yeah, super hyper speed, light speed. Yeah, it could very well be that. I think you guys are right. But I did love that we had this particular scene with Morgan and Baylan, and they have this conversation where she's like, "What do you see in the future?" And he's like, "Ahsoka's going to come after us." And she's like, "Well, you're going to dispose of her, right?" And he's like, "Yes, but it'll be a shame to do that because there's so few Jedi left," which means he's conflicted. I mean, I don't know if he's conflicted in the sense that he's not going to do what he has to do, and have some sort of redemption arc. I just think it goes to show that it's kind of that thing that Orc and Bean said with the strategicness of him, which there's that old, strategy of war, love thy enemy, know thy enemy. And I think when you know your enemy, it's kind of like Ender's Game. When you know your enemy, if you truly want to defeat it, you have to love it, and in a way, I think him being once a Jedi, he still has that connection and knows what it means, and he hasn't fully embraced the dark side, right? Retro says, I love Balin. He's like an evil Santa. that's funny, Retro. What's your guys' thoughts that, he's truthful with her, and I love that too. Like, it's not one of those scenes where he's afraid of her. He's just like, yeah, no, I'm speaking truth right now. It'd be a sad thing to get rid of Jedi. Orc, what's your thoughts?
Well, they talked about it. I think it was the last episode that like he had Jedi training and stuff like that, and so she at one point was a peer, and maybe now his motivation and morals are different, but this was somebody that at one time believed the same stuff he did, and and if he had gotten out of it in Order 66 and stuff like that, like he lost a lot of peers and possibly friends that day, and now he has to be one to take out another Jedi. So it was probably hard for him to have to realize that, like, damn, now I have to be the one that takes out another one, and there's not many of us left. But he's going to get the job done. And so kind of like how Ahsoka is more focused on finding Thrawn than she is Ezra, it's going to suck, but he's going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Subaru, your thoughts about his comments?
Yeah, so, he clearly knows Ahsoka. He knows of her history, like Cork said, probably a peer or he knew of her, so he knows her story. He knows that she left the Jedi, and he knows what she's done. So I think that, I think with how methodical and just like menacing he is, I think that he probably thinks that there's a way to, maybe get her involved with what he's trying to do. So, another one
maybe
like
justify him, so she joins his cause.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's an interesting thought. I just loved that it made his character all the more complex, and can't wait to see where that goes exactly. Oh, yes, I am still on Facebook. You can find us at the Holy Bat Channel. On Facebook. I think you've messaged me on there before. Yeah, message me through there if I'll chat with you, or Instagram, Twitter at @the_bat channel. Either way works. You know how to reach me. Light the bat signal, my man. But yeah, a wonderful scene between them. Can't wait to see where it leads for the next. But this next scene gave me chills because it was straight out of Star Wars Rebels finale. Corey, go to the next slide. Seeing Sabine have her hair cut, she has her armor, Mandalorian armor on. She's at the mural, and I know when I was watching the watch party, I was like, I think we're right where the finale ends. I'm gonna hold to that. I know technically her haircut is slightly different, but I was watching a side-by-side shot, and while yes, Ahsoka's not really wearing it's not full-on white cloak that she wears in the show, in the animated show. She kind of wears kind of like a grayish color, which in a way that could look a little gray. But the fact that when I was watching the side-by-side shot, even Sabine does the same finger tap as before. And it seems weird if that would be like her, I don't know, a superstition that where she always like caresses Ezra's face and then gives it like a tap every time. I don't know. It just seems like that wouldn't be something that you regularly do with a mural. But I get the sense that where we ended in the final shot of Star Wars Rebels finale, this is that scene where they go on this mission to find Ezra and to find Thrawn. So I think seeing that very ending shot, we're now exactly where Rebels left us off. So, which is awesome. That's exciting to kind of know, to see it kind of come to life in live action. But a great way to end another episode now that they've kind of accepted that they need to work together, as Ahsoka was right when she told Hera that they'll know when they're ready. They'll tell you when they're ready. And that's the moment we can get back to this. And when Sabine calls and says, I'm ready for this mission. I have my mind in the right place now. Now we're going off on this journey with the master and the apprentice, as we were in the first episode, right? So a great episode 2. Another, yeah. I just think they're doing a really great job with this show. Orc, any general thoughts?
Well, I haven't seen Rebels, so I don't. Sure, I believe you that it's a side-by-side shot. But I think this was just the start to the build of the relationship being mended for those two. And I look forward to finding out what was the thing that split them up. And I even look more forward to seeing them come back together. And so, but yeah, I thought this was a great episode. I thought it was a little slower than the first one, so I'm going to rate it just a tad lower than the first one. I said 9.2 for the first one, so I'm going to go 9.
Solid 9.
Solid 9.
It's a rookie score, but we'll take it. Super Bro Corey, your thoughts?
Yeah, man, it was another fun episode. We got some fight scenes. We got some politics. We got a lot of elements in this. I like the pacing. I like the building of these characters that they're doing so far. From a person who hasn't seen really any Rebels, and only through season 4 right now of Clone Wars. I'm actually really enjoying the show. I can't imagine how much more, how much higher you guys are enjoying this, for those who do know the more of the background of it. So I look forward to getting there someday, but I'm having fun, man. This is good Star Wars.
Yeah, man. What did you say for your score?
Didn't give a score yet. If I'm going to give a score, I'm going to say probably.
Whoa. Sorry, I saw a retro score.
I didn't see that one yet. Oh yeah, interesting.
What's your score? Sorry.
Yeah, my score. I'm probably in that lower 9s as well, like 9.1, I think.
Yeah, I Corey, I think you and I have given the same scores the first episode. I'm like half tempted not to give the same score, but because to be honest with you, like not knowing all of it, I would probably be in the 8s, but yeah,
I'm trying to like balance for how much I'm enjoying it, without knowing that.
I felt like it was a slightly slower episode as well, but still like really enjoyable. They're still setting up a lot of things that are getting me excited, especially from watching Star Wars Rebels, that I'm going to give it a 9.1 because I just think we're still, it feels like Star Wars, even with the added politics side of it that they created with what's, how the Republic is allowing the Empire to infiltrate them. Like, I'm enjoying that. I liked that aspect in Mandalorian. I love it in Andor. I like how we're seeing how we're, losing our freedom, in front of our eyes, and we're in charge of it. It's, very reminiscent of things that happen in real life, but we're getting the answers that we had for the sequel trilogy in a way. I'm curious to see where they go with it. I love what Noel says here. Episode 2 was important. The foundations of the show lore grows there. 9.3. Solid score. Retro, I'm really curious.
Yeah, let's go through the scores right now. Nine Lives in Hell here gave it a 9.1.
Okay.
A 92 out of 100 from Carrie Kelly.
Nice.
9.3 from Joker's Wild. 9.1 from Mistress of Mayhem. 9.3 from The Butler. 9.5 from the Nightwing,
Nice
9.1 from Red Hooded Outlaw, 9.45 918 2930 8394 K4.
Oh dear.
From Batman.
Okay.
9.45 from the Batman.
Batman. Hey man, how you been, man? I don't know if I've seen him comment all day, but hey, it's good to see you, brother. Glad to hear.
9.4 from Oracle's Clock Tower. 9.4 from Trevor's Age.
Wow.
9.3 from Bat Fanatic. 9.2 for me from hashtag Restore the Snyderverse Guy. 7.6 from Retro Nerd Girl. Koj said he gave it a 9. Not knowing the lore, it could be a 7 or an 8, making it slow. The lore makes it tense. Retro Nerd Girl said, I liked it. I just didn't connect with it as much as I wanted to, but I am hopeful it's going to get crazy, amazing. Episode 2 was important. The foundations of the show. There was 9.3. Why you're bringing up the canon trilogy?
Because as much as we don't want the fact, bro, we can't call it non-canon as much as I would like to think that. They already announced, Kathleen Kennedy already announced the Rey movie trilogy. The Rey trilogy. It's happening.
Let me ask you something here, because I like to consider it non-canon trilogy as well, because I hated it so much.
Yeah.
That said, maybe what they're doing with these episodes and these little movies, videos is setting up to the background knowledge that we needed to know about the,
I still think no matter what, they're not going to be able to save episode 8. Or honestly, save episode 9. Episode 7, yeah, they're setting that one up for success, but episode 8 was where they lost everybody.
Because I've heard rumors that Thrawn is working on cloning as well. Is that?
Well, Moff Gideon was, which we all were led to believe
was.
that an Ezra thing was, not Ezra, sorry, Emperor was, using Moff Gideon's tech. But I don't know. It's a damn good start for a Star Wars show, especially when it came to people weren't really sure if they liked what Andor was trying to do. Andor really made Star Wars complex for the first time. And I don't mean not first time, but like really made it gave it a different flavor that we've never really seen before with Star Wars. And it was intriguing and we like it. Can't wait to see what they do with season 2, but Obi-Wan was a disappointment to a lot of people until the final episode.
I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too, but I guess we're not all Star Wars fans. But yeah, I think great job. Personally, I think Dave Filoni did a better job with the first episode, but Steph Green did a great job with the second episode too. But I'm glad to hear everyone's enjoying it for the most part. So keep sticking out with us, guys. Let us know in the comments. Would you want us to do another watch party? Like, do you want us to do watch parties for all the episodes? Or are you okay if we do these first episodes, season premiere, season finale? Let us know in the comments. But I mean, would you guys be down?
What was the question?
Would you want to do a watch party for every Tuesday for Ahsoka, or are you happy with season premiere, season finale?
You asked earlier for a question. Yeah, I'm down.
Okay, Super Bro, your thoughts?
If the people want it, I'll give it to them.
Yeah. If people want to come back and watch it with us, I'm totally down to do it. So yeah, I'd be down for it. Curious to see what the chat says, if they'd be willing to join us with it. Maybe it'd be fun to maybe even have some people from the chat join us every now and then. As well to join the StreamYard event as well. Maybe we could do some fun stuff there as well as bring some additional guests. But yeah, man, I'd be down for it, Trey. How about you, bud?
Yeah, I mean, like you guys said, if the chat wants it, we'll consider doing it.
Let's take a look.
Wonder Wife will be pissed, but it'll be all right.
Nightwing says sure. The Batman says yes. I'm down with the watch party, says Red Hat Outlaw. I'm foreseeing more Bat Channel watch party all day, says the Batman. I'd do it, says Carrie Kelly. Let's do it. Go for it. Mountain, do it. Yes. Circles Clock Tower. Go for it. Retro Nerd Girl with Do It in the voice of Palpatine.
Do it.
Do it. Do it.
I like it. So it sounds like, for the most part, everyone's kind of like, yeah, go for it.
Do it. That's
Cool.
what they're saying.
All right. So yeah, we'll try to make this a normal theme. Maybe we'll set because I think they come out 9 p.m. Eastern.
Do it. Just make
Each
sure
Tuesday.
Savage is synced with you.
Yeah. and not drunk.
Not completely wasted.
Yeah. Hey, man, he was just excited for Ahsoka. I mean, he was just like, I ain't waiting no longer.
There we go.
Just
Beth
bring
says
on Wonder
bring
Wife.
She may.
Maybe. I don't know. I'll see if I can convince her. It's always fun trying to bring her on for reviews and stuff like that. But sweet, guys. I'm excited. That's going to be a lot of fun then. We'll do it for the next one. As long as you guys help us promote it and bring on some more people to join us in the chat, make sure you're sharing that stream. Orkin Beans and 14, my man. What you got coming? I know we kind of talked about this on Tuesday. But...
Yeah, we talked a little bit on Tuesday. I got a new job, so I'm just been dealing with that. I'm hoping to come back to streaming hopefully in late September. And Trey and I talked about it a little bit. Maybe we'll have to do some Battlefield again, or maybe another Red Dead stream. Get the boys back together playing some games.
Are you sure you want to do another Red Dead? I mean, we kind of bamboozled the first one in the first 10 minutes
last time, but
the first thing Corey and I did was start killing each other.
Yeah.
No. I'm pretty sure that was Colt. Pretty sure Colt killed you first.
You two were fighting over a stupid hat.
Oh, yeah, we were fighting over. Oh, yeah, because I stole your hat.
Yeah, you stole my hat. You didn't kill me, but you stole my hat. And then I went chasing after you, and then straight up Colt killed Orc. And that's where the fighting really began.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at all these Orc hordes out there. Hashtag Orc
hordes.
Orc hordes. See, man, they ready. They ready for it to come back. I love it. Orc and Beans. It's all the goods, right? Dar. But guys, sweets, thank you so much. We very much appreciate. Oh dear God, Corey, I was hoping you were just going to skip that one.
I'll never skip a super chat.
That Dan's thoughts with the $10 super chat, saying, "Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey costs $5 to rent on Amazon. Here's a $10 to cover the rental costs for Trey and Super Barrel Corey."
Guess I don't get to see the movie. It's all right. Whatever, Bat Dan.
Wow, real cool.
And not only that, Bat Dan, you have to remember that we only get 60% of that, so you're gonna have to kick it up.
$30 minimum.
Okay, so I'm still in debt after watching Winnie the Pooh, and I ain't about that life.
Thanks, Bat Dan.
Actually, in all seriousness, though, Bat Dan, thank you so much, dude, for the $10 super chat. Like,
we don't want to watch that movie, Bat Dan.
I'm just trying every way possible to avoid this, but I'll put it in the pot. I'll put it in the money jar. That's
the honey pot.
The honey pot. We'll put it in the honey pot. $66. I was gonna say 60 cents. $6.
Hey, well, now we just need to do a movie night.
Oh man. Hey, should we do a watch party or not, Bat Dan?
No. We'll do a watch party because I told Bat Dan when I did the Last Voyage of Demeter review, which if you haven't checked out that review, that discussion on Bat Dan's Thoughts YouTube channel, you need to, because we had a great conversation over there all about the Last Voyage of Demeter.
You know what?
So
Retro Nerd Girl brings up a fantastic point.
Don't forget the tax. Retro. All right, now
you forgot the tax. You forgot
trying to pull money out of my friend.
He had to give us $10.99.
I was joking about the.
I know you did have to do that. That's pretty hilarious, though. Leave it to Bat Dan to troll with super chats. You know,
only Bat Dan could achieve such a thing, but you know.
Oh, man.
Seriously, thank you so much, Bat Dan. Corey, can you play Bat Dan a little something to say thank you?
Yeah, we're gonna give him this one. No, which Let's give him this one first.
Well, that's the real trick, isn't it? And it's going to cost you something extra. 10,000, all in advance.
10,000? We'd almost buy our own ship for that.
I feel like that was a perfect one.
The perfect one, right? And then, sure enough, he follows up with the fine with the additional $10 there. So let's give him this one for that. And we have to do this one. Let's give him this one.
Like a panther. Yes?
Bantha.
And oh god.
Trevor H covering the text.
It's going. It keeps continue to going. It keeps going. Trevor H. No.
All right, let's wrap this. Let's play something for Trevor. Let's just wrap this up. We gotta get out of here.
I'm gonna let you pick this one, Trey.
You're gonna make me pick.
Actually, I'm gonna do this one. I'm gonna do this one.
Okay.
I got this one from Bad Dad. I'm Trevor H. Thank you so much, Trevor H. Trevor H says for the tax hello hashtag battalion, and he did a honey pot and some Pooh Bear Trey. Can he do a Pooh Bear Trey?
No.
He can't do it. Christopher Rabbit.
Play the clip, Corey.
All right, we're playing this one. This one feels like it'll also work.
Credits will do fine.
No, they won't.
Credits will do fine.
No, they won't. What, you think you're some kind of Jedi waving your hand around like that?
Pay us to watch movies, Batman.
You will do this.
Thank you, Bad Dan. Thank you, Trevor H.
Thank you, guys.
Batman. Thank you,
Much
Trevor
appreciated.
H.
You guys
That's
are
hilarious.
two guys. Hashtag
Oh my
battalion.
god!
What?
Oh,
What?
dude.
We got to eat something while we watch the movie.
Eat snacks. That's hilarious. Man, Trevor coming in with the snacks and drinks fun.
You guys aren't helping my case here of not watching this film.
Hey, Red
We
Hooded
have to
Outlaw,
do it now.
Batman and Trevor H may have to join us for the watch party now since they're making us go through this, right? Oh man. Oh gosh.
Pick something good. Pick something good.
Let's hear from the wise
I would
words
know
of
what to
that
say
guy.
anymore. Just the Red Hooded Outlaw. Thank you so much.
Thank
the
you so
$10
much, Red Hooded
super chat.
Outlaw, for the snacks. Oh gosh.
Size matters not. Look at me. Judge me by my size, do you?
Fantastic.
I'm getting a large popcorn and a large drink with that.
Well, if we want to be honest, if we get popcorn from the movie theaters, that's like $20.
Wrap it up before someone gives us money. Get out of here. We gotta go.
This is so funny.
The joke has gone far enough.
Oh my gosh. Thank you to Bat Dad, to Trevor H, to Red Hooded Outlaw.
Yeah.
Bat Dad again. You guys are the best. Hashtag battalion. As you know, go follow my boy Orchid Beats 14 over on his Twitch account. Join the Orc Horde and subscribe to our channel. Smash that like, share this stream to help our channel grow. We need to get to 10,000 subs to hit our goal. That is our goal, guys, and we can't do it without you. Hashtag battalion. Help us get there. Help us reach. I want to get to 3K before the end of the year. If we do that, I think we're in a great place, guys. But if we can get to 5K by the end of the year, I don't know. That would be crazy, but who knows? We can't do it without you. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about us. We're having a damn good time. And apparently at some point, we're going to be watching over on Batman's Thoughts, Winnie the Pooh.
It's a trap.
Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. I'm your host, Trey, with Orchid Beans and Super Bro Corey. And don't forget to tune in weekly.
Same bat time.
same honey and blood channel. Doesn't quite work.
That's what we are now.
That's
Oh dear.
Oh
dear.
I don't know.
Oh, you can do it too.
Oh dear. My
See you later.
honey. I'm so hungry for honey. End the show. Look
All
what
right.
you've done to me.
Ellie, do you see what's happening here?
Goodbye,
They want us to
everyone.
watch us
Bye,
sleep.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.